What is good, everybody? Chinji from Ceasar Graphics, and Happy New Year. Today's tutorial is going to be on movie poster, and this is especially for those of you wanting to know how to color grade where movie poster is concerned. So I already created the background for this project and play with some of the elements. You can find this in the exercise file of this tutorial. The link is on the description section of this video. So enough of the talking, and let's dive into today's tutorial. So create a new document. So I'm going to click on file and I'm going to select new. I'm going to tag this project Siberia. So my width is going to be 720 and my height is going to be 900. And I'm going to make my resolution 100. Now you can use 72, but the reason I'm using 100 here now is because I know I'm going to be applying much colors here. So I decided to use 100 for my resolution. So my color mode is going to be on RGB because I'm posting this on social media. And before I forget, okay, the reason why I decided to use this frame size is because I'm going to be posting this on Instagram. So I decided to use the Instagram portrait frame size. Okay. So then I'm going to click on the create button now. So I'm going to drag my background and drop here, and I'm going to hit the enter key on my keyboard. And I'm going to drag the image and drop here like so. Then I'm going to drag the image of my character here, and I'm going to scale this down. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to apply shadow to the project. So I'm going to zoom in because adding shadow to it is going to make this look more real. All right, so I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to call this shadow, and I'm going to click on the enter key. And for this, I'm going to go to the elliptical marquee tool here, and I'm going to draw, zoom out a bit, and I'm going to make sure that my foreground is set to black, and I'll hold on Alt and Backspace to fill the layer with the color of my foreground. So the next thing I'm going to do is to apply the same shadow somewhere around here, like so, not too much. Just going to apply that here, like so, and I'll do the same move again, holding on Alt and Backspace. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go to filter and select blur and hit the Gaussian blur option here. All right, so I'm going to zoom out. Now my Gaussian blur is too strong. I'm going to reduce the radius like so. All right, now this is good. So I'm going to hit the OK button. And now I'm going to move this up a bit like so. So I'm using the up and down arrow key on my keyboard to adjust that. All right, so I'm still going to create a new layer again and call this shadow. Okay, because we really need to make this shadow look more real. Okay, so I'm going to go to the brush settings here, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the brush tool, and I'm going to select the soft round brush here. All right, so because I have a graphics tablet, my transfer option is going to be checked. But if you don't have a graphics tablet, you can, change the flow, or you can change the opacity to 15 and you're still going to achieve the same move. Okay, so I'm going to scale down my brush size like so and make sure that my foreground is still set to black. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in. All right, and I'm going to just click once and just drag this out here like so, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Click, drag out here. Here's my brush size. I'm just going to gently apply that here like so. All right, the same thing here. I'm gonna make this more dark. So, all right, so then we have this. Okay. All right. Now, for the leg of my dude here, I'm just gonna gently apply the shadow here. All right. Shadow's not gonna be too much. All right. This is good. Do the same thing again. And just, I think this is good. All right. I'm going to use the razor tool because I noticed the shadow is too strong. So I'm just going to gently, oops. So I'm going to make sure that transfer is checked again. All right. And I'm going to reduce my brush and just gently take out the shadow on this side of the project. And I think this is okay for me for now. And I'm going to put all of this in a group. All right. So I'm going to select the three layers and hit Control G on my keyboard and call this couple. Okay, so I'm going to open the group folder and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the couple layer here, and I'm going to activate my curve adjustment, and I'm going to click on this icon because I only want this to apply to the couple layer. All right, so I'm going to drag this down like so. All right, and we'll leave it like so, and I'm going to hit Control I on my keyboard to reverse the mask because I don't want the curve to apply to the entire layer. All right, so I'm going to select my brush tool and increase the brush size. Make sure that your foreground is set to white when applying the brush. So, and also make sure that you are on the layer mask of the curve. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm just going to gently apply the brush to the layer like so. All right, then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to scale down my brush. Do the same thing here like so. Yeah, all right. And I think this is okay. Let's just gently apply somewhere around here. Something here. So, if you look at the color of my characters here, you realize that the color is not similar to the color on the project. All right. So I'm going to achieve the same color that I have on the buildings here. So what I'm going to do is to activate the curve adjustment again, and I'm going to click on this icon to say I only want it to apply to the layer of the couples. All right. So I'm going to start with red here. So I'm going to add red to the layer like so. All right, and I'll go straight to blue. All right, and add yellow to this. So to add yellow, I'm going to dial this down. All right, this is going to go down like so. Now you see now that beginning to have the same color on the buildings on our couple here. So I'm going to boost this here like so, and I'll go to RGB here and just dial this down just so as to add more depth to the project. All right, so just need to go down a bit more. All right, here like so. This needs to yeah, just like so. All right. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to close this and add more splash effect to the project. All right, so I'm going to go back to the exercise file and I'm going to drag this and drop here like so. And this need to be behind the layer of my characters here. So I'm just going to push this here. I'm going to add a layer mask to this and select the brush because I noticed I'm seeing the splash effect on this side of my project, which is not part of the plan. All right, so I'm going to scale this big and just use the then I'm going to make sure that I'm on the my foreground is set to black, and I'm just going to take this out. All right, now another thing again I would love to do here is to create a glow effect behind my characters. So I'm going to go back to the couple group and I'm going to hold down control and click on the thumbnail of the couples to activate the marquee. All right, so I'm going to close this again and I'll create a new layer and call this glow, the OK button, and I'm going to select my brush tool and make sure that I sample a color from the background. Now I'm holding down Alt here, all right? Because if you don't hold down Alt, you are not going to see the eyedropper tool, all right? So I'm going to hold down Alt and click to pick a color from here, and I'm going to make sure that this is below the man and Kano layer. So then I'm going to hold down Alt and hit backspace to apply the color to the layer. And I'm going to hit the Control D or Command D for Mac users to take away the marquee. Now I'm going to go to Filter now and select Blur again and select Gaussian Blur. And this time I'm just going to increase my blur level like so. Okay, now I notice that the color of my glow here blend with my background, all right? So I need to create a little bit separation here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Control L or Command L to activate the levels adjustment like so. Let's just dial this up here like so. All right. All right. This is good. So what I'm going to do again is to make a copy of the glow so as to make it more glowy. And this needs to go down a bit, just like so. All right. So I'm going to add the splash effect again to the project by dragging this here. And I'm going to scale this down and I right click and flip this horizontal and this should be here like so. All right, I'll make a copy of this again and this can be somewhere around here, and just make it a bit bigger. All right, this here, make it bigger here like so. All right. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to separate the buildings from the background a bit. All right. So I'm going to do that by creating a new layer and call this brush. All right. And I'm going to select my brush tool and pick a color from here. All right. I'm holding down Alt now and I sample a color from here. Select my brush tool and I'm going to increase my brush size and just gently apply that here like so. All right. Now I'm going to change my blend mode to multiply like so. All right. Then I'm going to apply this here, apply this here like so. All right. So I need to make my glow color darker a bit. So I'm going to use the levels adjustment by hitting Control L or Command L for Mac users, and I'm just going to dial this down just to, so as to make it more darker, like so. And make it a little bit darker and select the OK button. And now because the color here is still not looking okay the way I want it, so what I'm going to do now is to activate the Hue Saturation Adjustment by hitting Control U or Command U for Mac users. And I'm just going to dial the saturation down, all right? And I think this is looking the way I want it, and I'm going to select the OK button. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this to Camera Raw and just do the color grading. So to take this to Camera Raw, I'm going to make sure I'm on the very first layer, and I'm going to hold on Ctrl Shift Alt and E to stamp visible of that layer, and I'm going to right click and say convert to smart object. Now, the advantage of converting your layer to a smart object before applying the Camera Raw feature is if you are not satisfied with the adjustment or the color grading on the layer, you can easily go back if your layer is converted to a smart object. So then I'm going to go to filter and select camera raw filter here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with the basic, and under the basic, I'm just going to increase the exposure a bit. All right, I'm going to increase the exposure a bit, and I'm going to increase the contrast. All right, now the advantage of applying contrast to this is to um, add more depth to the project. So sorry, I need to make the exposure 0.5. And for my highlight, I'm going to dial that down a bit because the project is already looking too glowy. All right, so I'm going to reduce the shadow a bit. All right, now for the whitening, all right, because I really want to have all this light effect more stronger on the outfit and on the splash of my character here. So I'm just going to increase the white a bit, just like so. All right, then under the vibrance, all right, because I'm not going to touch anything here. I'm just going to go straight to the vibrance and just increase the vibrance a bit. So the whole idea of increasing the vibrance is to add more depth, like to boost the colors, all right? And so what I'm going to do next is to go to details here, and I'm just going to increase the sharpen a bit, all right? And under the color mixer, I'm going to boost the color of, I'm going to change the color of the green here. So what I'm going to do is I'll go straight to the hue, and on that green, I'm just going to increase this a bit, like so. I'm going to go to saturation here, and I'm going to just dial this down a bit, just like so. All right, I think this is okay for me for now. And under the split tone, all right, I'm going to add red to the project. So I'm going to do this on the shadow. So I'm just going to increase this a bit, like so. Now you see that we're beginning to have this uniform feel on the project, okay? So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go straight to the calibration. So under the grain, all right, because you know the color of the ocean is still not looking the way I want it. So I'm just going to reduce the saturation of the grain here like so. Now you see it's beginning to make sense, and I'm going to increase this like so, all right? Or you know what, let's just push it to the side. This here. So effect here almost means that I'm going to apply grain. All right, now grain simply means noise, so I'm just going to increase that a bit, and I'm going to add a vignette. So I'm going to push this back like so. All right, this is good. And I think on my red here, my red here is too much, so I'm just going to reduce that a bit. So, okay, now this is good. So then I'm going to select the OK button. Okay, so now this is the before and this is the after. So another thing I would love to do again here is to apply brown fill like to the project. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new solid color layer here, and I'll go straight to brown. So yeah, this is good. So I'm going to reduce the opacity a bit. All right, and I'm going to blend it this. So what I'm trying to do here is I only want this to affect I only want to apply this to the shadow of the project. All right, so I'm going to move this from here to the side like so, and I'm going to hold on Alt to split the slider. All right, so this needs to go to this side and this to this side. This needs to get to the end here. This needs to get to the side, and I'm going to reduce the opacity a bit more, like so. Right, I think this is okay for now. So if I hit the OK button and I go before and after, now this is looking the way I want it. So I'm going to select the layer mask of the solid color layer, and I'm going to select the brush tool. I'm going to zoom in because I don't want this to affect the hair of my character here. Now make sure that your foreground is set to black when applying your brush. All right. So I'm going to take this out from the hair of my character here. Do the same thing here, like so. The next thing I'm going to do, let's just reduce it a little bit more. I need to take it out from this side also. So I'm going to select the brush tool and increase my brush size, right? And take it out from here, right? Totally don't want it to touch the water, okay? I think I just still need to reduce the color of the water here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the hue saturation and click on this icon and select the color of the ocean or the water, all right? And I'm going to reduce the saturation like so. All right, now this is good. You can even add a little bit blue too. So this is the before and this is the after. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do now is to add my text. So I'm going to go to the text tool here and click and type. So what I'm going to do now is to go back to the group folder of the couple, and I'm going to hold on Control and click on the thumbnail of the couple layer so as to activate the marquee. All right, so I'm going to now select the title, which is Siberia, and I'm going to hold on Alt and click to trim the shape from the title. All right, so then I'm going to select my text tool again, and I'm going to type when there's one other thing I'm going to do again, which is I'm going to add yellow to the mid tone of the project. All right. So to do that, I'm going to select the selective color adjustment here, and I'll go under my neutrals here, and I'm going to add yellow to this, like so. All right. I'm going to add yellow to it, and I'm going to add a little bit red to this. All right. Now to add red, you make sure that you play with the cyan, all right, because the opposite of cyan is red, all right. So what I'm trying to say here is this: Here we have CMYK. All right, now the opposite of it is now RGMB. All right, so I'm going to add red because RA means red. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of red to this. Okay, so not too much, and I'm going to stop here. All right. I'm glad you made it to the end of this tutorial, and I'm sure you learned something from this tutorial. If you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button and remember to click the post notification bell so you get notified when I post my other videos. If you like this tutorial, simply click on the like button and remember to share this tutorial. If you are able to achieve this tutorial, simply post it on your Instagram page and remember to tag me. My Instagram handle is at Ceasar Graphix. I'll see you again in the next one. Peace.